part.
But you gotta turn the comments and everything off.
Yes, that takes 17 steps.
Does it?
Remember in the old days, it would just was the Wild West. All right, so I go over here to create. And then I go live. That's 2 steps. 3, 4.
Wait. I didn't even see what you were doing there. Are those just ads or something?
Yeah, something like that. And I go to manage. And then I go to here. And then that's when the comments start. Good morning, everyone. Here's our friends from California. Both of them.
Hi, Julie.
And Martha are both here.
Hi, guys.
All right, Judge Stutzman is going to be starting his live streams next week and wanted a little bit of a refresher. So we go over to settings and edit.
Oh my God.
And then we go shut off live chat. And then we go to details and make it education. Save it. So that turns the comments off. We are live. So,
So it's going now.
So it's going now, and the comments are turned off. I let them run for a bit in the morning when I do my
Opening monologue.
my opening monologue.
All right. I'm gonna need to write that down.
Yeah,
that was
well,
more steps than when I did it.
We'll go
4
through
years
it again. Yeah, it's been a while.
All right.
Hi.
Could we chat for a moment?
Yeah, how about if we just talk rather than chat?
Yes, Your Honor, that's
All
probably
right.
better.
Okay, the live stream is on. Everybody keep that in mind. I'll come up and look at, where are you gonna, you'd be doing this remotely?
Well, this month I'm gonna start it from here so I get used to
All
it.
right, I'll come up when you're gonna do it and,
Okay.
and go through it on your computer.
Thanks, sir.
But yeah, you were the expert originally. You got us going in May of 2020. How long we,
I stopped it as soon as I could. I'm only doing it now because I have to.
all right, we'll take a short recess here. We'll be back.
Right back.
Compelled to do live streaming because the courts were closed because of COVID. And the court proceedings are to be public. So the solution was we did everything by Zoom. So in the early days of all this, May of 2020 and through that first year, everything was live streamed and the live chat was left on. We didn't even realize what it was. As soon as we were no longer required to live stream, when the courts were open again, the other judges here in St. Joseph County stopped and I continued to live stream my proceedings. And I plan to continue when we move to the historic building. Judge Stutzman, however, is going to have to do some of his matters remotely, either from his office or from some other location while the construction is going on. And so those matters are going to have to be live streamed. So he will be starting his live stream again, I think next week. But he was the one that originally taught us all how to do it. The programs have changed some since then, and he's going to get reacquainted with it. So we'll work on that. Not yet.
Hey, Abby, did you get a hold of him or is Angeline? Okay.
All right, good morning once again. We're here for the sentencing in People versus Robert Lee White, 252284. Good morning, Mr. White.
Good morning.
Mr. White was here in a timely manner, reading. The attorneys have been discussing the matter. Present is his attorney, Ms. Casey Strong, and Abby Stoll is here from the prosecuting attorney's office. This is a FY case, which stands for a felony. It started as a larceny over $1,000, but less than $20,000. This allegedly occurred in the summer of 2025. The defendant was arrested in November of 2025. The felony charges were dismissed, and the defendant entered a plea to a misdemeanor charge of larceny more than $200, but less than $1,000. That was done on December 16th. This alleges a number of thefts of wire and other property that belonged to Forest River. There are apparently videos of some of this, and there's some other evidence. There's a co-defendant, Peggy Lytle, who has yet to be arrested. There's an open warrant for her arrest for this same set of circumstances. At any rate, Mr. White entered a plea, and the matter was set for sentencing. It was set for sentencing on January 21st, and the defendant called and said, I can't get to court. The person I'm riding with has a diesel truck. It won't start. It was very cold that day. Schools were closed. The roads were bad. We simply agreed to continue the matter until today. It had been set for sentencing. Well, earlier in December and early January, we were trying to determine what the restitution amount would be. So the matter was adjourned from the 21st to today, the 27th, and here we are. Joining us now is Angelique Camfield from the prosecuting attorney's office, and she was attempting to get more information regarding the restitution issue. And it's hard to determine because there were more than one incident. It's hard to value this property. What is its value is for its intended use, or what is its value for scrap? Those are issues that could make restitution difficult to nail down. At any rate, as I indicated, Mr. White entered a plea on December 16th. I talked to him about it. He acknowledged responsibility for this, told me that he stole this property. I'm advised this morning in chambers.
I wasn't aware that I was stealing, sorry.
All right, that you wish to withdraw your plea.
Yes.
All right. You told me you knew you were stealing. I don't know how you would not know you weren't stealing.
There was no signs or anything, Your Honor, and the guy that told me about the place said he's been getting wire from there for over 2 years.
Your Honor, I just want to do a blanket Fifth Amendment. If this is going to be withdrawn, I want to make sure Mr. White understands fully that we are recording and anything he says could be used as an admission.
So don't say anything. The problem is it wasn't yours. It doesn't matter that other guys were stealing from it. It wasn't your property. Stop. And it had value, or you wouldn't have taken it. So apparently there were multiple incidents of this, but the upshot of this, Mr. White, the felony charge was dismissed in exchange for your plea to a misdemeanor. Are you advising me this morning that you wish to withdraw your plea and have this matter set for a preliminary examination on a felony charge?
Yeah, Your Honor, because I don't see where there was a crime committed, really.
All right.
It was more of a...
Don't say anything more. I'm not unwilling to hear what you have to say, but as your lawyer says, anything you said could be used against you. The law in this area, we discussed this in chambers, whether I agree or not, the law says that when someone moves to withdraw their plea prior to sentencing, the court shall grant that motion to withdraw the plea with great liberality, meaning the law favors allowing the defendant to withdraw the plea. Whether I think it's a wise idea or not isn't part of the equation. You're turning a misdemeanor back into a felony. And what would the next step would be to set a pre-exam conference and then ultimately a preliminary examination. Ms. Canfield, were you able to get any restitution information?
I did get some restitution information, Your Honor, and they're in the process of gathering the documents in support of that. But what I can relay to the court and counsel is that I spoke with Mike Getter, who is one of like the main general managers of the company, and he then has the subsequent plant managers that oversee things. The purchasing agent for the White Pigeon plant is Dorothy, and Dorothy was gathering some documents for the alleged drum of wire that was stolen, some receipts for their scrap metal that when they turned it in for money, they earned $1.26 a pound. And she says each drum, if you will, was 600 to 700 pounds. And there were 9 of those that had been taken over the course of these few weeks. There was also an entire drum of new wire that was taken, which was presumably something the company would use throughout the business. So that was not scrap. That was $1,702. And then they alleged that power cords were taken. I think the defense would be able to point out that in the video, there aren't any power cords in the wagon. There are none that were demonstrated for the defendant to be near, at least on the one occasion that it was videoed. But what the defendant turned it in for, and the receipts that are in the police report indicate that he earned $4,243 off of what he had taken and turned in. So that is the very least amount of what restitution would be, is what he had earned off of it. But I do believe it could go upwards of $14,371, depending upon the court's determination of it after a hearing. The plant manager, for what it's worth, for the defendant and his counsel, had indicated to me that if there were a sanction and a jail sentence, while they would like the restitution back, their main concern is for somebody who is a repetitive theft from their property. They would like some jail, and they may be willing to forego restitution for a jail term. So I just wanted that to be on the record, because I mean, if a plea is withdrawn, we will not be making any more misdemeanor offers, and this will proceed as a felony. And I will try it as a felony. So that is the one caveat for the defendant that's important for him to know, and I know the court's already mentioned it. And
for the sake of the record, I did discuss that in the abstract with Mr. White because it had not been officially extended, but we had that conversation as well.
For the record, the guy stated that he did not care about the wire that I was taking.
All right. So some unknown person, apparently somebody cares about it. So do you wish to withdraw your plea?
Yeah.
I would just state the court will, for the people, we obviously want to just object to that based upon the fact that there was no error in the taking of the plea. The defendant read his rights. He understood his rights. He had representation. The court was very clear in its taking of the plea. The defendant admitted the offense. And the other portion is, so if there's no error in the taking of the plea that mandates a withdrawal, there has to be a manifest injustice. I don't believe that's been demonstrated by the defense. And I do think also, I don't know that there'd be prejudice to the prosecution necessarily, Your Honor. We have the witnesses available, so I don't know that that element applies.
Well, I don't know about the manifest injustice standard, but yeah, there is a prejudice to the state. For example, let's say this was a plea that was taken on an assault case, and after you entered the plea, the complainant was killed in an automobile accident, and they would be unable to present the complainant.
Well, I feel that there was no...
Stop. I understand what you feel. I don't agree with it, but I understand that's your cockeyed theory of it. My sense of this was a giant gift The amount stolen is at
Yes.
minimum $4,000 and up to $14,000. If you want a felony, I guess you can have one.
May I say something, Your Honor?
All right, I may stop you, but yes.
I've been in here several times. I've always stepped up, take responsibility for what I've done. I don't feel that, I know for a fact that I didn't take no power cords out of there, and
Well-
I didn't take no big spool of wire either.
All right, one of the things, a lot of stuff was stolen, and you may not have been the only person stealing.
Yeah, I just, in the,
They've got some issues regarding that, but the other issue is your counsel had met with you, advised with you in good faith, and worked out this misdemeanor plea to your advantage, and now that the sentence is nigh, you wish to withdraw your plea. It's not fair for her to have to continue to represent you in this matter. I will release
I understand that.
Casey Strong as attorney. I will allow you to withdraw your plea. As I said, this was in my mind, a generous plea offer. It would be something they could try. The problem is they got a bunch of other much more serious cases than this that need to get tried. And so sometimes you have to make a decision and resolve the less serious cases to make room for the more serious cases. So this doesn't trump a murder case or assault with a hammer or a criminal sexual conduct case, the kinds of things that are pending. So, but you do have an absolute right to have a trial. Where are you living?
Staying in Sturgis.
Are you at the Maple Street address?
Yeah.
Are you really, or just sort of homeless?
I don't know. It's my dad's place.
All right. I would have just set it for a prelim, but we're gonna get new counsel, and it wouldn't be fair to them to appoint it and just set a prelim. So I'm gonna set a pre-exam conference for February 10th. At 8:30. And a preliminary examination for February 17th at 1. So we're back to square one. We haven't accomplished much between December and now. One of the things in here is you denied everything. Peggy Lytle admitted everything. According to the affidavit, she says, yeah, we understood they were stealing stuff. How many times they stole what?
She told him that we.
All right, stop. So you denied anything, knowing anything about anything. You didn't say some version about, hey, some guy told me I could take this. You just denied it altogether. And then she said, yeah, we've been stealing this stuff. They were out here 2 or 3 times this week. So she hasn't been arrested yet. I don't know where she is. I don't know if anybody's even looking for her. But as I said, if you want a felony, I guess you can have one. You can go to prison for this. As opposed to a jail sentence, but you've stated your position. So we'll set a pre-exam conference for February 10th at 8:30. I suspect your new lawyer is going to tell you the same thing that Ms. Strong told you, that this misdemeanor plea was a good offer. But we won't proceed with the sentence today. In the meantime, the prosecutor will continue to work on that restitution figure. So I want you to go out to the counter We're going to appoint a new lawyer for you, set a pre-exam conference for February 10th, and a prelim for February 17th if needed at 1 o'clock. I'll do an order allowing the defendant to withdraw the plea and allowing Ms. Strong to withdraw as counsel.
Thank you, Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Honor is the district court.
All right, that's as far as we got in that.